So our next speaker is Jedidiah Weller. Yes, he goes by Jedi. It's fantastic. Jedidiah Weller is one of those people, I had the privilege to meet him last year at a conference. Again, you guys, these small conversations that you have in the gaps, how significant they can be and who you can meet and what those people can do for you. I love Jedidiah not because just of like his positivity, his strength, and like just in who he is. You meet him and he exudes that certain like, yeah, we can do this. And that's great, but how that's been reflected in his life. He is a serial entrepreneur. He has a couple of companies in particular, OpenForge, which is a software and app development company, and then Startup Wars, which is a game that shows you how to do a startup. It's a great simulation. A lot of schools use it. But he was just sharing with me before this. He's like, yeah, man, we've actually helped launch more than, was it 100 companies? More than 100 companies with more than 20 million users. Yeah, so it's not just about your idea. It's about your ideas, plural. It's about that ability to create, iterate, and to do so together with other people. So that is so imperative to what we're all building here. So Jedidiah, like me, comes from like farm country, comes from growing things organically, but being able to do so at scale. He is incredibly positive, incredibly optimistic, and a brilliant innovator, entrepreneur, but just someone that you want to connect with and grow with. So I'm so thrilled to introduce to all of you Jedidiah Weller.
All right, let's see. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah? All right, awesome. All right, so as Ryan said, my name is Jedidiah Weller. You can all call me Jedi for short. You know, may the force be with you and all that. And I am here today to help you guys by giving you as much experience as I can, by sharing some stories, by giving you tips. You know, I'm really here to be a resource for you. Okay? I am a founder of a couple tech companies. I'm a technologist by trade. I grew up in the country, in the middle of Pennsylvania, on a farm, 83-acre farm in the middle of nowhere. And when I was growing up, I was very bored, and there was no way for me to really, get out there and really experience the world because it took 30 minutes to get to the nearest gas station. So I used technology as a way. I used the internet to actually, learn and teach myself about software, about, the world around me. And I love the internet for that reason. Since then, fast forward, a couple of years, I've helped build over 100 tech products. Those products themselves, they serve about over 20 million users all across the world. I've spoken at startup events, at entrepreneurship events, and technology events, from Developer Week in the West Coast in California, to the East Coast, to Bangkok, Thailand was the furthest place that I've done, right? And I always focus on entrepreneurship and technology, because I believe that if we use technology in the best ways, it can facilitate you to be a more successful entrepreneur. That way you can grow your business even further, even faster, and hopefully you can change the world one day, right? I do not have the cure for cancer. I don't have the solution for, global warming or, world hunger. But maybe one of you guys do, right? So it's my job up here on stage today to help give you some tools, some tips, some tricks, some ways that you can accelerate your businesses. And that way, together, we can make a lasting impact in the world, all right? So that's what we're going to do today. Now, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that 3 ways. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to discuss the future of business, right, and technology. And second, I'm going to talk about a story. I'm going to talk about the story of Startup Wars and how we built that into the company it is today. Then third, we're going to lay out a bunch of recommendations. So I'm going to go rapid fire. I'm going to talk as much as I can. We're going to get as much knowledge for you guys as possible within the time that we have. And I will try to leave some time at the end for Q&A. Okay? All good? Yeah. All right, sweet. You guys are good. So, artificial intelligence. I don't think we can start a conversation about technology and about business without talking about artificial intelligence. So let's just get a poll of the room, maybe by a show of hands. How many of you are excited about what AI brings? Okay, awesome. Yeah, very good. Yeah, it is exciting. How many of you are terrified or scared of what's going to bring? Oh, awesome. Yep, about 50-50 there. And if you didn't raise your hand, you're probably lying. So, no big deal. And how many of you are just confused? You don't know what's going to bring. I know that's me, personally. So I have bad news and I have good news. The bad news is that the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make you a lot more afraid of what's coming. All right. The good news is I'm going to end it with some hope and talk to you about, what the future can hold for us. Okay. Now, does anyone remember when ChatGPT launched? When it first launched? What month was it? November of last year, right? Yep. Perfect. And within the first 2 months, how many users did they get? How many? It was 100 million. All right. So within 2 months, they acquired 100 million users. To date, right, within less than 1 year, they have over 180 million users, right, customers, and they have over 1.5 billion monthly views. 1.5 billion. To give you some context, the United States has about, 330 million people? So that means that over half of the entire population of the United States has adopted AI and ChatGPT within just a matter of months. Now, let's compare that to something that we're all very familiar with, the smartphone. Okay? Anyone know when the first iPhone came out? 2007, nice. And all right, now I'm really going to stump you. When did smartphones hit the majority of the US market? How long did it take for 51% or more of consumers in the US to have a smartphone? 2012? Very close. 6 years is correct. Yes, 2013. So it took 6 years for a device that we all think is our bread and butter, right? Every single person in this room has one. It took 6 years for the majority of the population to adopt that new technology. Right? And now we look at ChatGPT and AI. We have the same results within a couple of months. It's crazy, right? And it is rapidly accelerating. Getting a little bit more technical, are there any software engineers in the room? Yeah, okay, we got a couple. Hey, you. If you guys know of Moore's Law, Gordon Moore, he was one of the founders of Intel. He predicted this thing, it's called Moore's Law, where he basically said that every 2 years, the number of transistors or the capabilities of your microprocessor will double while the cost gets cut in half, okay? And that's been true for, since 1965, 60 years, right? It's been true. Now, recently, with AI, we have seen that over the past 10 years, the consumption, the computational power, right, and also the capabilities have gone up by 10x per year. So our entire lives, every single person in this room, right, maybe some of you are over 60, but still most of your conscious life, every single person in this room, we have lived all of our lives at this certain acceleration pace of every 2 years, capabilities double. Now, within the past 5 years, we're seeing every year it's going up by 10x. So none of us know what to expect, all right? And that's a scary thought. So if you said that you're afraid, good, because, you should be. Getting even more into, the economy and how this is going to affect everyone, right? It's predicted that around 85% of jobs in the world that will exist in 2030 do not currently exist today. Right? So think about that. All the jobs that we currently are thinking about and applying for, in a matter of 7 years, they won't exist. Now, it doesn't mean jobs won't exist. It just means that those particular jobs, right, are not going to exist, and new ones are going to become available. Right? If we look, and this is a study by Goldman Sachs, Goldman Sachs estimated that 300 million jobs worldwide could be fully automated. Right? 300 million jobs. So that is a scary thought, okay? But it does not have to be super scary. That was a dramatic pause as I could take a sip of water. So throughout the history of mankind, anytime that there has been a technological revolution, right, there have always been people who adapt, right, and people who deny, okay? And many companies and many people, the people who adapt, right, they are the ones that thrive. So look at Duolingo. How many people have used Duolingo? Yeah, almost everyone, right? Duolingo, they just released a couple months ago their Duolingo Max, which essentially adds AI to the existing application, the existing learning that they already have today, right? Now, what does it do? Well, essentially, it creates a personal tutor to be there, right there on your phone with you. Economically, that would have been impossible without the advances in technology, right? Just think about it, to have someone on call 24/7 to pick up the phone, and be like, oh yeah, let me practice Spanish with you, or, French, or whatever language you want to learn. It would not be feasible. But now it is, okay? And they've seen a ton of adoption because of this alone. We look at Amazon. Amazon is one of the top 10, companies leveraging AI. When they announced, I think it was in April, that they were going to add AI capabilities to their existing, technology stack in order to power their businesses, like, their customers, their stocks rose, I think it was by 4.7% the same day. And since then, stocks have gone up by $30 a share, right? So you can see that these companies who are adapting, they are succeeding, right? And it's not just companies who are saying, okay, let's leverage AI as we all understand it today. There's also people and companies who are rethinking how can we leverage technology and the new capabilities in order to expand and grow our businesses, right? How can we do that? Does anyone know who this woman is? Does anyone follow her? What's her name? Little Michaela. And let me ask you, friend, what is interesting? Oh, by the way, before you answer that question, let me show you guys more pictures of Little Michaela. This is her, right? What is interesting about Little Michaela? She's fully artificially generated. This is not a real person, okay? This person has 2.7 million followers, right? Her name is Little Michaela, if you want to follow her. And she is now worth $125 million. And she is not a real person. Crazy, right? Now, I want you to think about that for a second, okay? Think about how you can take this example and apply it to your business. I know for us as a company, actually for all of our companies, I am terrible at social media, okay? I'm terrible. I always forget to go on. My team has been getting me to, go online more often, post more, but, in general, it's not my strongest suite. Now, what if, for someone like me, what if, I don't worry about it and I don't take the time to actually go on and post on social media? What if instead for my company, we create a brand ambassador, a virtual influencer they're called. And now that's the person who 24/7 is going online, who's talking about our company, who's engaging with our audience, right? And who's building a following. What if you do that for your business? Okay? Because I don't know about you, but I'm a software developer, I'm a product designer, okay? I love building products. I love being creative with that. I don't like tweeting or Xing. Is it Xing now? I don't know what we call it now. That's not my forte, right? But now we can use AI and we can use new technologies in different ways. Okay? So that's what I want to have you guys think about. Alternatively, you could be one of the people who deny its existence or say, that's not going to affect my industry. I don't need to use it. I talked with a lot of people in the room before this presentation, okay? I heard of all different types of businesses, from healthcare to juicing, to natural hair products, all these different types of businesses. None of them have to do with AI, but every single one can leverage it, okay? And I'm going to go into how we can leverage it in a little bit. By the way, just out of curiosity, has anyone, and if you're an instructor or a little bit older, please don't raise your hand. From the student population, has anyone actually been to a Blockbuster? Okay, a couple. All right, so we still have some people who remember the name. In 5 years, will not happen. Or you could be like Netflix. Now, I don't know if you know this, but Netflix actually offered to partner with Blockbuster in the dot-com era, and they offered to sell, to Blockbuster, and Blockbuster said, no, that's totally fine. They weren't interested in a partnership. Blockbuster took the approach of denial, while Netflix, they took a different approach. They said, you know what? We're going to completely rethink our industry. We're not going to do what everyone else is doing. We're going to add subscriptions. We're going to go online. And now, I guarantee you, every single person here has watched something on Netflix and probably continues to do so. Okay? So keep that in mind. Now, when you're thinking about how AI or technology, can help your business, and this is especially for the non-technology companies out there, right? So if you have any brick and mortar store, if you have any store that just is not a tech product, okay, this part I'm about to say is really for you. Think about how it can empower and speed you up. One of the most critical parts to success in entrepreneurship is speed. Speed to market, speed to pivot, speed to fail, get back up, and then do it better, right? Now, for one of our companies, we used to spend about $1,200 a month on bookkeeping, okay? That was just a year ago, actually, $1,200 a month. And it's not bad when you're doing millions in revenue, but, for just bookkeeping, it's expensive, especially because that's not accounting. Well, just recently, we switched that company over to Bookie.ai. I don't know if anyone's heard of it. And that company, it just automates the process of bookkeeping. Okay? And now, I'm in between. I still haven't fully committed to Bookie. By the way, I have no relationship to Bookie. I'm going to disclaim right now because it's probably going to go online. I've got no relationship at all to the organization. I just really liked what they do and what they did. And so I tried it. Well, I'm nervous about it, so I still hire a bookkeeper, but I only pay $300 a month now because Bookie does all of our transaction categorization, and the bookkeeper just looks it over, right? So, huge difference, right? A huge difference in cost. Same for legal. It used to cost $5,000, $10,000 to create your starting paperwork, right? Hire an attorney, and you still will if you hire an attorney. But now you could probably get that same thing, make a draft, from one of these AI tools, AI platforms, and then hire an attorney on an hourly basis to review it with you, to talk it through, right? I'm not saying that we should displace or that we can just displace all these experts in the field. I'm one of those experts, right? But what I am saying is that we can do more with less time. And that's really a core foundation of being a successful entrepreneur. How can you do more with less time? So I challenge you to think about that. Right? And you guys, your generation, you are the future. You are the closest to these new technologies of any of us. Right? I'm 35, okay? So I'm a little bit older than you guys, right? You guys are probably, 10 years younger than me? I've got peers who are 10 years older than me. And I already, even though I'm in technology, I already feel, oh my God, this is going too fast for me. So, remember that you guys are in the forefront of this. You guys are the most adaptable, all right? You're the most resilient, and you have the least to lose right now. So try everything out. Really go out there, check out different technologies, check out different, patterns that you can use for your business, and see what happens. Okay, so that's the talk about AI. Next, we're going to talk about our journey. Now, I'm going to tell you about our journey with Startup Wars. I'm going to go over the highs and the lows. I'm going to talk to you about our pivot points. And the reason for this, and the goal for this, is I'm hoping that you will be able to learn from these pivot points, right? And be able to think about how can you pivot your existing business. Okay? Every journey starts with a beginning, okay? So I'll first tell you what Startup Wars is. In a nutshell, Startup Wars entrepreneurship simulation platform. That means that we provide entrepreneurship simulations for students in colleges to help them learn and experience entrepreneurship and fail, but fail safely within the course, okay? That's what we are. Now, how did we get there? A couple of years, around 2014, 15, we created this organization called the Philadelphia Junto. We based it upon Benjamin Franklin. He had the Junto in which he would bring people together from all different walks of life. And what would they do? They would talk about business, economics, politics, right? And the whole point was mutual improvement. So we said, let's do the same thing for entrepreneurship, right? And we brought founders together. They talked about, what they were going through, the issues, the problems that they were having. They were seeking advice, right? And we had a safe place for people to give and get advice. And it was going pretty well. But we saw a problem. What we saw is that if people would come to the organization and they would see, they would get some advice, they would leave the what we call it, the meetup at the time, and then they would come back a month or two later, and they would forget a lot of what they heard. Or maybe they didn't apply it exactly the way the speaker intended for them to apply it. Right? Just like maybe today, I'm going to share with you guys my story, right? But you haven't experienced my story. Right? You haven't experienced it. And so that means that the time dilation between when you hear the recommendations and when you actually get to apply it is so long, right? Especially for businesses like restaurants, right? That kind of thing, where it takes months and months or years to create. So we said there's got to be a better way. So we did our typical competitor analysis that your instructors, your colleges probably have taught you to do. We looked at the market, and there were already existing simulations on the market. And these are some of the top ones in the space. And we had like Harvard Business Simulation, CapSim, etc. And they all have value, right? They're good products, they are. But none of them give the experience of entrepreneurship. These are more for business curriculums, more capstone courses. And, they look like an Excel sheet on the web. So we said, well, we can do this better. So we had an idea. And that's when the idea for Startup Wars came about. Now, what I'm about to show you looks horrible. So don't judge me on this, okay? This was the first product, right? We spent 2 months creating a very simple MVP. And it looks like crap. It honestly does. I would never put my brand behind it. But true to startup life, we have to quickly iterate, right? And we have to, prove and get market validation. So we went to Philly Tech Week, in Philadelphia. And we said, okay, this is really cool. We think we're going to get a lot of people interested on the consumer side, because we were originally going to target consumers. It was going to be a mobile application. And I remember coming up to the event, we got to the event, we got a table, right? And I'm standing in front of the table, and Paulina, one of our team members, she's our lead developer, she was sitting under the table with our QA lead, Billy, and they were trying to get this thing to work. As I'm in front of the table, being like, oh yeah, it's just gonna be 5 more minutes, everyone. It's gonna be 5 more minutes, right? Fake it till you make it, right? Well, I get a kick that said, okay, it's ready, and then we start giving the demo. People liked it. We had a lot of consumers, parents saying, oh, I want my kids to learn this. We had a lot of people in the tech scene in Philly saying this is really cool. So we said, okay, this is worthwhile. Let's actually invest in it, okay? We got validation. We had hundreds of people sign up. Cool, good enough for at least initial validation. So then we started building it, right? We spent about, I think it was maybe 9, we had to get some funding together internally, arrange some things. But we started working on it. I think we got about 9 months in. And then we were about to launch. We were about to get ready to launch. And then in March of 2020, what happened? COVID, right? So obviously, everything's shutting down, and everything's changing. We don't know what it's going to do for any of our businesses, but, we're open to ideas. Well, along the way, I had been reaching out to entrepreneurship instructors. And I've been reaching out just saying, hey, I've got this idea, I've got this product that we're building. Is this something you're interested in piloting? Etc. And when COVID hit, as you guys know, every university shut down. Okay, they were one of the most hardly impacted industries. And so all of a sudden, a bunch of people were responding to me and saying, hey, Jedi, that Startup Wars idea, can we use that in a classroom? And I was like, well, I have no idea. It wasn't the intended audience, but we can try it. And so we did. And so we did some customer discovery, where we actually came into the classes. We participated with the instructors and with the students as we're building it. We surveyed them. We asked all these different types of questions, all along this. And by the way, all these surveys and all this information, I'm happy to share it after the actual presentation and after the conference, because we learned a lot of valuable lessons from that data. And as we're going through, we're learning, what the students want. What they need, what the instructors want, what the instructors need, right? We're building it with our customers. And if I take a quick aside and make a recommendation to all of you, build your product with your customers. Build your product with your customers. Because I can tell you one thing. I know a lot about tech products. I knew nothing about the education industry. Absolutely nothing. Right? And so I was learning so much, and my team was learning so much as we were going. We would have never learned that if we just built it and then we're like, hey, here you go. Right? So it was so valuable. It was also nerve-wracking because I had an imperfect product, right? And it wasn't even finished yet in many regards. And now I'm saying, hey, will you use it with us and will you do this? But you know what? Entrepreneurship instructors are very cool because entrepreneurship instructors are very, very open to change, right? And that's, I think, a benefit that you guys have, being in the programs that you're in. So we did more. We changed the product. We added features. We did X, Y, and Z. Everything we thought was going great. And then, all of a sudden, everything came crashing down. Does anyone have any idea what could have gone wrong? We were ready to monetize, ready to go live officially, start charging. And here, this might give you an idea. We were going to charge, I think it was $25 for the app. What's wrong with that? Yeah? Too much money for the product we were selling for. Yeah, absolutely. Right? We launched originally as a consumer product. And then we switched our business model over into the ed tech space, right? So we priced accordingly. But we never changed, our actual business model. We never self-reflected. And so now all of a sudden, we're surveying students and we're like, okay, yeah, would you pay $25 for this? And they're like, no. And I was like, oh, crap. And then I was like, okay, well, why? And so we went back to the surveys. Let me see if I can go back, right? We went back to the surveys and we looked in more depth. Turns out, they said, no, I wouldn't pay $25 for an app. And I realized, neither would I. I build apps for a living, and I've never paid more than $10 for an app. We were originally going to do a consumer model, freemium, then, charge extra for additional add-ons. But no, we never changed the business model. So make sure you change your business model. The other thing that we did, or that we didn't do, I should say, right? I promise you guys I talk about failures. We never thought about accessibility and the requirements of education. And so now I get a call from Dr. Lori Kendall from Ohio State, as a state university. And she says to me, Jedi, we have a problem. And I said, oh, God, this is not going to go well. I was like, what's the problem, Lori? And she said, we're launching next week. And I've got 3 students out of my class of 400 that don't have a smartphone. So they can't use it. And I said, crap. That's all I said. I had no idea what to do. So I was like, okay, Lori, let me get back to you. Let me go talk with the team. So I talk with the team, and we say, you know what? Let's just pivot the framework. Let's put it on the web. And so for our first version, we literally just put a mobile phone on a web browser. That way everyone could use it. It was ridiculous, but it worked. Everyone could at least use it because universities can require you to have access to a computer, right? Either they provide it or they have the library, right? But they can't require you to have access to a phone. And so we did that. We did a series of iterations, a series of pivots. And then finally, we launched for the web and we scaled it out. It went well, right? We changed the business model. We changed the environment. And now we did another round of surveys. We pushed back our official release, by another semester just so we could get everything under control. We did another round of surveys. Now we asked students, would you pay for this? Right? And another 500 students. You know what they said this time? Yeah. They said, yeah. Every single one said, absolutely. This is the coolest tool that we've used. This is so much fun. It's so much more fun than all of our other software. And they said, okay, well, how enjoyable? How educational was it? And they were loving it. And all we changed, we did not change the product. We just changed the positioning. So, and actually there's a lot of instructors in this room who have helped us along the way. So I do want to thank you guys. So remember that for your product. If you go to market and you're not getting a hit, before you scrap everything, maybe just try pivoting who you're marketing to, or pivoting how you're marketing it, right? Pivot somehow, right? There's going to be a lot of failures that you have, and they're going to feel horrible. But if you keep going, you keep pivoting, eventually you'll find something. And then, that's what we built it in today. So now today, right, we found that students, when they get personalized experience, they crave this engagement. Right? And this chart, wherever it is over here, right, this shows how many times students play these simulations after they completed the assignment. So that means on the left side, that's how many students spent 1 extra hour playing after the homework assignment was complete. On the right side, that's how many students spent 20 plus hours after they were done. Right? And so that was a great metric. And so, today, Start Wars is now a success. Right? We've been adopted across the nation and now across the world. We have a simulation catalog, and it's been great. Right? But it was because of the pivot. So, please, everyone in this room, make sure you evaluate your business model. Make sure you evaluate how you're pivoting. Make sure you constantly recreate that lean canvas. Right? How many people do a lean canvas here? Yeah? Okay. There should be more people raising their hands. Okay. Please, everyone, look up a lean canvas or a business model canvas. It's also called business model canvas. And do those. They're so valuable. All right. So, I already talked about recommendation number 1. Update your business model. Okay. Constantly update it. It's so important. Now, recommendation number 2, and I'm going to get into the details of some of the things that we did here, is be smart and find a niche. Now, an important thing that we did as a company was we did not try to be the next business simulation, right? If we tried that, I guarantee you we would have failed. Because there was already 4 or 5 players in the market for business simulations. They worked with all the business schools, and it would have been so hard to compete against that. So instead, we said, you know what? We're going to focus on entrepreneurship, and only entrepreneurship. We found a niche, right? And we targeted just that. So we're the only platform that does entrepreneurship education specifically. Because of that, our costs to acquire customers are so low. One of our most effective strategies is right up here. I don't know if you can see this. This is a real LinkedIn message. I have a bot that was set up by our marketing company. They charge me, $100 a month or something like that. It's so low, I don't even know how much it is. And all it does is it looks for any instructor that has entrepreneurship faculty in their name, and it sends a message. Chris, I noticed you're teaching entrepreneurship this semester. We have a platform. I'd love for you to do X, Y, and Z, right? From that, we were able to acquire the majority of our customers for $100 a month. I'd encourage you to do the same thing. Anyone can set up one of these, right? Look for a marketing company that can help you, or there's probably even online SaaS products that actually do this for you now, right? And all it does is just sends a message. And then after that message, when they respond, I take over and I start having a dialogue, right? And I start learning about, their program and how how we can help them, right? Because it's all about helping others. There's other tools too. This is a new product that we just started using called Jasper. Again, I have no affiliation with any of these tools or companies. This is a marketing tool that uses ChatGPT, and it allows you to basically upload all of your content for your company, whether it's like a PDF or your website. If you have a website, you just upload it and it scrapes it. It gets your brand voice. It gets your identity. It gets like how you actually phrase certain things. So like we always say the entrepreneurship simulation platform. So it knows about that. And now you can go into Jasper and you can say, write me a blog post. Write me an email. Write me an XYZ. And it does it. And it's got your personality behind it. You used to have to pay someone $500 to $1,000 a month to write a couple blog posts a month for you. And they were never going to be that good. It was just for SEO purposes. Now you can do it for $60 a month, and it'll take you an hour. Right? And there's other tools. There's other tools like Jasper. Jasper just happens to be the one that we used, so that's one I can personally recommend to you guys. Okay? Number 4, build a community. So this is very, very important. So when we, and like I said, there are some instructors in the room who participated with us. Actually, for everyone, just a round of applause for the instructors who helped us along the way. Thank you. So when I say build a community, you have to build a community around what you're doing, right? You have to talk with these instructors. You have to, or with these customers, right? And you have to understand what their needs are, how they operate, how they, like what their students' issues are, right? How they facilitate discussions. And there's been so many times when, through my LinkedIn campaign, right, this thing over here, there's been so many times when someone just says no. And you know what I say? I say, no worries. I'm happy to still be connected. If I can make any introductions for you in the space, I'm happy to, right? And so that way, it's not just about making a sale. I'm building relationships. I'm building community, right? And I want you to do the same thing, okay? Recommendation number 5, be efficient with your time. And I actually believe that in the keynote earlier, they talked about this as well. Time is your biggest friend and your worst enemy all in one, okay? You have to be as efficient as possible. So let's say after this talk, you want to get a hold of me, you want to schedule like a meeting to just pick my brain about something. Well, if you email me and you say, hey, Jedi, can we get together? I say, yeah, sure, right? And you say, okay, how about next Tuesday? I say, well, I'm not free next Tuesday. How about next Wednesday? Well, you're not free. You have class that day. How much time are we wasting with that? Something as small as that, right? 5 minutes, 10 minutes over the course of, a couple days. Well, imagine when you're like me and you send 100 to 200 emails a day. I actually handwrite 100 to 200 emails. Mo can tell you that I actually I respond quicker on email than I do text message, phone call, anything. Email's my thing, right? Well, now you add 5 minutes to every conversation, it really adds up. So think about the small things that are taking up your time and automate them. I use Mixmax personally for scheduling. Now I just send a link and you just click the time that works for you. I don't even look at it. I also use Calendly. Calendly is a great one. There's other tools. There's CRMs like Copper and some other tools where everyone know what a CRM is? Yeah, I see some head nods. CRM is customer relationship management. It's basically just a way to organize your contacts. Okay, and I really recommend that you do this, especially in college. You know so many people. Start making lists of your actual friends, because you will forget about some people over the years. I promise you. Right? Make lists. In the list, say what do they like, what are their interests, what are their hobbies, because maybe in 2 years you want to reconnect, and it would be great if you had a source of information to reconnect. Right? I used to use LegalZoom a lot for small types of contracts and getting that type of thing. All these tools are for you. There's always a tool out there for basically whatever you want to do. Okay? If you are building a tech company or anything with a tech, like enablement, this slide specifically is for you. Use APIs. Essentially, what an API is it's something that can, it does the service for you. So imagine you're building an app and you want to have the ability to chat with friends on it. Okay? Well, you could build it yourself, which would take you hundreds of hours, hundreds of dollars, or thousands of dollars, I should say, and a lot of nightmares over the course of a couple of years. Or you could use something like QuickBlocks, and you just plug it in 5 minutes, or your developer plugs it in, and now you paid $20 a month. Right? Which one is better? Because I guarantee you, whatever your product is not chat, or it's not maps, or it's not X. Right? Your product or your service is going to be a grouping of a bunch of different products and services. So if you use APIs, you can really increase your speed to market. Right? And you can get creative too. You can get really creative with them. The other thing is picking scalable technologies. Right? And this one is kind of related to technology products, but also for any other type of business. If you have a business that's like let's say it's a mom and pop shop, like an actual brick and mortar store, and you're selling, 1,000 transactions a day. Right? If you choose a vendor that doesn't have a lot of capabilities, it might be hard to transition off of that person. You might get locked in, right? But if you choose someone that's scalable, right, a company that's scalable, then you can quickly pivot if you have the need. Same with technology. The reason we were able to switch from a mobile app to a web app in literally less than 1 week was because we used Ionic framework. So we were just able to swap it over. It didn't look great right away, but we had time after that. So technologies really matter, and which technology you use is going to matter. Finally, recommendation number 8 is using clickable prototypes. Now, there's different tools. There's Marvel, Sketch, Figma, etc. Our team, we personally use Figma. We used to use Marvel, but the team really likes the we call it the live session aspect of Figma, and I do too, actually. It was hard to convince me, but when Rachel did, it was a good job that they convinced me. And so what I recommend with this is prototype any type of business. So for a tech product, this is easy to imagine. All right, what's a prototype? Well, it's literally a prototype. You click here, you get this. You click here, you get this. What about the brick and mortar restaurant or brick and mortar store? How do you prototype that? Well, you can prototype the process. Okay? Imagine what is the very first point in which a customer comes into your store, right? What's the first engagement? Is it when they walk in? Or is it on Instagram before? Is that how they find you? Or is it from a Facebook ad? Lay out every step of your process, every step of your business flow, and I guarantee you it will help you. It will help you identify issues that you might have had. It will help you, find resolutions to some of those gotcha moments, and it'll help you improve. And recommendation number 9, empower your team's speed to market. So GitHub Copilot, if you guys do have a tech company, right now, and again, I'm not an attorney, so this is not legal advice, but right now the law industry kind of doesn't know really what to do with ChatGPT, because when you ask, let's say your development team asks ChatGPT a question, you own all the answers. Right, that's what they say last time I read the documentation. But they also own the right to learn from it and to use that for the next person's answers. So when we get to a patent and a copyright perspective, who owns something built with ChatGPT? I don't know, and I'm not here to advise you on that. But what I can tell you is that speed to market does matter. And I guarantee you, if I'm sitting here, and what's your name, sir? Skylar? Skylar is sitting over there. We're both trying to build the same product, and he's using AI or the latest technology to do it. He's going to get there faster than me. So I might own the IP better, but maybe I missed out on the market share. And again, I'm not an attorney, but I just want you to be aware of some of the pros and cons. The other part with improving your team's speed to market, this is actually my favorite tool. I would encourage every single person here to use this tool. It's called Unbounce. It's A/B testing, right? And so essentially what you can do is you can quickly create a landing page or just a page, like a website, and you can create different variations of it to test out different parts about your business, right? An A/B test means you have 3 versions of the same website, and the only thing that changes is the title. I'll give you an example. We used to run this event series, the Junto, and we were selling tickets, and we were getting, a lot of people. Well, we had a title that said, check out this webinar, it's going to be great. And we did an ad campaign. We got maybe 15% or maybe 10% of people actually clicked through, okay? Not really the best. I switched one thing. I added a curse word. I said, check out this kick-ass webinar. All of a sudden, we went up to 33%. So just cursing allowed us to do 33%. I'm not saying curse, but it does help sometimes. So tools like this will really improve your results. It will allow you to measure, and it allows you to improve your speed of market. And then finally, when we talk about AI, right? These are a bunch of different tools. All these tools, they came about in the last couple months, right? So by the time we all go home and research all these tools, there might be 5 more that do a similar thing, but slightly better. Okay? But this is one of the most accurate lists to date. Now, at the end of the presentation, which is actually in a couple minutes, I'm going to have a link to my LinkedIn, or my link tree, and part of that is going to have a link to what you see on the right. So I mentor for an organization called Founders Institute, and Founders Institute did a really good job. We created a list of all these different artificial intelligence tools that have been vetted by different founders, and it's all on a Google Doc. So the link to that Google Doc is in there. Ladies and gentlemen, if you get nothing else out of this, remember, you are the future, and you are the most in tune with technology today. Whatever your business is, do not shy away from what technology can do for you. Don't say, I don't understand it, so therefore I'm not even going to try. Go online, look up AI, look up, marketing for AI, look up legal for AI, look up anything that you want, put AI after it, and it will probably come up with a result. Right? And remember that speed to market is very, very important. You need to have good speed to market in order to succeed, and you need to be able to pivot. You need to be able to fail and try again, so you have to build that into your runway. Okay? If you want to connect with me, I'll be here all weekend. You can also, hit the little QR code here. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, all those things. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have as well. It is my job to help founders succeed by helping you with the technology side. I hope that some of these resources were beneficial for you. I saw a lot of people taking notes, so thank you. That means you're active participants. And with that said, thank you all so much. I appreciate you coming.